Now, the making of a good compilation tape is a very subtle art, many do's and don'ts.
Let's make a playlist.
First of all, you're using someone else's poetry to express how you feel. This is a delicate thing.
Let's make a playlist.
You gotta kick it off with a killer to grab attention. Then you gotta take it up a notch. But you don't want to blow your wad, so then you gotta cool it off a notch. There are a lot of rules.
No rules here. This is Let's Make a Playlist with Jonathan Howe. My name is Jonathan Howe, and this is episode 3 of season 2 for Let's Make a Playlist. This is a show all about exploring the lost art of the mixtape, CD, or playlist, and getting to know the music behind the music. My guest this week is Niagara-based singer-songwriter Brandon Agnew, someone who I consider an inspiration and now a great friend in the scene. Together with season 1 guest Amanda Lynn Parker, Brandon hosts and moderates the Niagara Songwriters Club, which meets at Mété Cafe in St. Catharines on the first Monday of every month. They have curated a space to share not just the songs, but the stories, the methodologies, and the challenges that create a song. For me, songwriting has always been hard. There is an element of fear that what I create won't be perfect, won't be good, that what I say doesn't matter, so why say it at all? When I do start something or feel there is something to say, usually it rots away in a notebook, buried and unfinished. However, sitting in that circle once a month and hearing songs from other creatives who battle maybe the same challenges that I do, or have their own unique challenges to overcome to present their art is inspiring. It keeps me going. And the biggest thing I've learned is to just do it for me first, for the sake of the art, not for commodity and not for fame and fortune. Just create because you've been blessed with the gift to do so. And thanks to Niagara Songwriters Club, I have a place to share that gift, embrace that gift, and enrich it as well. My conversation with Brandon today also gave me a similar reminder. We talked about the release of his new album, Night Shadows Volume 1, and his somewhat unconventional approach, steering away from streaming with an effort to sell CDs, reaching his fan base and listeners in a more direct way. The middlemen of the music industry and tech industries, they keep getting theirs, while artists are seeing less and less sustainability in their actual creation. And I think Brandon's got a great perspective on that maybe all of us could benefit from adopting. We also got into a policy about live performance in our own scene that promotes original musicians over the weekend rock star cover bands. I think it's worth adopting as well. And of course, we made a playlist, one that features a great deal of new to me music chosen by Brandon. If you want to hear those tunes, I will have them linked in the Substack article that will accompany this podcast. You can find that at substack.com/househouse. The majority of my work is free on Househouse, but if you wish to subscribe for $5 a month, I would greatly appreciate that, as that all goes back into the greater creative economy I hope to not only promote, but support. A few more notes of housekeeping, if you will. I play in a band. We're called Green White Checkered. We have a brand new single that is going to drop this coming Tuesday, March 24th. It's called Stay. Very excited to share that one. And then we'll celebrate with a show at Camp Cataract in Niagara Falls, March 28th. We'll be playing alongside Ottawa indie rockers, the New Hires, and our pals OK Camper as well. Tickets are available now, or you can get them at the door. Hope to have you there, and hope you enjoy a really great conversation with a great songwriter and an even better dude, Sabres fan as well. We'll say that. Brandon Agnew on Let's Make a Playlist. This week's guest on Let's Make a Playlist is Brandon Agnew, singer-songwriter based in Niagara and a man of many projects, many skills, many talents. I can't really keep track of all the things that you've put out, but main stuff we're working on right now, or the main stuff we're focusing on, is this recent release with the Night Shadows. So tell me a little bit about this new project that you dropped just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for making time for this and the invite. The latest album is called Night Shadows Volume 1. It's a 10-song album that we recorded out in Niagara and Lake at Steve Goldberger's studio in his backyard shed. And yeah, it features a whole bunch of really talented Niagara musicians and an overall flavor that I would say touches on being inspired by some of the time that I've spent down in New Orleans. So it's got some brass in
Mm.
it. It's got some moodiness to it. It's got some just fun-loving kind of like energy to the whole thing, and we had a really good time making it.
Tell me about your time in New Orleans. Was it, mostly playing musical tours? Because I know there's so much rich history to go and explore in terms of music in New Orleans. Did you have a chance to perform alongside anybody? How did New Orleans kind of shape the sound of this album?
Yeah, good question. I went down there, I don't know, maybe 15 years or so ago. At this point, the first time I went down, we ended up going to Jazz Fest. Met Alan Toussaint and had a really good time. It really left an impression on me. And from talking with some locals down there, they put us on to French Quarter Fest, which is the largest free outdoor music festival in America. So it runs 4 days and there's upwards of about 18, 20 stages at any given time. So you just kind of float. So the next 5 times that I went back, the destination was French Quarter Fest, and it was great. And the inspiration, you just absorb it like a sponge while you're down there, sensitive to not appropriate any musical genres or storylines that aren't my own. But I had the good fortune when I was living up in Ottawa a number of years ago to have some players that were versed in jazz and understood kind of like the ask. And then fast forward to making this album, and I feel the same is true. Have some players around me that really appreciate kind of the language that gets spoken through the New Orleans kind of vernacular, and so we just had a good time bringing these songs to life in ways that have felt really appropriate for the songs.
And that's, I think, one of the things that makes any good songwriter a great songwriter and makes their releases great is that they're really able to identify the type of musicians they need to surround themselves with and finding maybe the very best of the best within their area to execute this vision and execute this plan. I'm a big Bowie guy. You look at his career, he's constantly changing who's in his band for what era he's in or whatever album, whatever style of music he's trying to make. So, when it comes to your own songs and your own songwriting, at what point do you know kind of how you want this song to be presented, I guess, in terms of, the genre or any stylistic choices? Because, we sit in a songwriter's circle. A lot of those songs are bare bones. A lot of them are just acoustic and, starting off as poetry. What point can you start to see, okay, this is going to be something that's going to draw some jazz influence. This is going to be something that I want maybe a full electric guitar based rock band behind. What's that process like for you in terms of choosing your musicians you surround yourself with?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel fortunate to have good people in our community and in my corner that I can bring just about anything to, and the versatility is really strong. I think the diversity of what they're able to how they're able to paint the songs is really rich. So I feel like we all are at a point now in being students of music where we can just let the song kind of dictate to us where we want it to go. And what I've appreciated about having different projects on the go with, a number of different pals is that no two performances are ever really going to be the same. So there's not necessarily like identified parts and like an identified style. Um, and that's really exciting to me because that keeps me kind of in the zone in terms of like performing the songs. Um,
Mm,
but yeah, like I guess to answer your question, you never truly know until you bring it to other people, and that is a beautiful social component. I think of that music allows us to write, whether we're writing, co-writing, but if it's in isolation by ourselves, like you said, with an acoustic instrument, and then bringing it to others, to your friends and your community, and then just kind of like stepping back and allowing people to kind of just step in and just trusting them with their instincts and their expertise. And then knowing, there was a song that we cut for Night Shadows Volume 1, for example, that I felt was better served in a different capacity. So I removed it, and then Steve Goldberger was just like, "Hey, I think that song is really beautiful, and the take that we did was really nice. Can I include that on my album if I, add my own vocals to it and stuff like that?" And I was like, "Yeah, go ahead." I guess that's all to say that I'm not overly precious about it, and I've really come to
Mm,
appreciate that. The adaptiveness and the versatility for me as a front person is really important, because when I travel it might just be me, or I might be meeting people in a city 7 hours away from here. So I try to bring them songs that have a degree of sort of logic to them, and that we can all just be in the moment together, and we can get in, enjoy our time, and then get out. And so yeah, like the versatility though, and the ability to sort of like paint the songs in different ways, uh, keeps it interesting for me.
that's awesome. I think that's the goal for all of us songwriters, is to be able to branch out of, maybe our safe space and what we would traditionally work in, and maybe push a song to a new place. I think as musicians, we're all getting pushed in terms of how we go about releasing music in the most effective ways to market ourselves, to, get our music out to the people, and to, at the end of the day, somewhat maybe break even so that we can go and make another one, or go and get out on the road, or find a reason to do it. And I feel like with this Night Shadows record, you've chosen to kind of buck the trend a little bit by avoiding some of the main streaming services, and sell directly to your fans, to listeners, yourself. So talk to us a little bit about that decision, and what made you think, okay, that for this one, I want to see what I can do by selling directly to my listeners.
Yeah, I'm a cusper, so when I was 13 or 14, the internet came into our lives. So I remember a world that was non-internet world,
Hmm.
pre-internet. And
Yeah.
growing up through it, there's obviously, like, this is kind of like the cliche of all cliched conversations to have right now, but I'll kind of go there either way because you asked. But a lot of social benefit from being hyper connected in a globalized sense, for sure. I've started to look at it though, like, I don't want to ask people that might come out to our shows, or might be kind of supporters of our music, to do things that I'm not really into. So I don't do pre-saves. I don't have a Spotify account. My last two albums are up on Spotify. Um, I've just started to sort of become more comfortable with just doing things in a way that makes sense and feel honest to me. So the break even point that you alluded to would be a magical point that for any of us to get to. The harsh reality, the the realist in me is allowing the cynic to kind of have some airspace right here. But it is a completely it's a strong community inside a broken industry, is what I've been saying. So like the
Mm.
money in and money out, it's an important conversation to have, but I've kind of tried to just move past it and just realize that, like, for me, art making is the most important thing. Um, Sharing good vibes in the community is the most important thing. So with this album, I got some CDs made. I'm really happy with the cover art, and I'm happy with a tangible product, even if it primarily acts as just a business card. And some people might have given me $10, knowing that they can't play the CD. I've
Hmm.
also tried to redirect people to say, there's a single out from the album right now. It's on all streaming sites except Spotify. you know, Give it a listen if you want. I'm not going to spend any time, to be honest with you, like trying to get it on playlists or whatever the flavor du jour is right now, John. It's not for me. Other
Hmm.
people do that incredibly well. It's not a thing that I care about. So you can listen to the album right now on my website in full. And if in doing so you want to say, here's $5 or $10 or $20 or $1,000, then all that money goes directly to me. I think the thing that I've lost faith in is the incredible amount of, like, middle people in the industry, and the skimming from the top, that major tech corporations like Spotify have set themselves up to just be skimming profits. And then what's even more disturbing to me is, what they choose to do with those profits, and then the endless pursuit of more power and greed. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I've set it up. By no means is it lucrative. By no means is there a break-even point on the horizon for me at all. I've got a CD. If anybody wants one, I'll happily go to Canada Post and mail you one. And you can stream it on my website. And in a month and a half or so, it'll be on all the streaming sites except Spotify. And if you choose to listen, great. But like we're inundated with tens of thousands of hours of new music dropping every day. I figure the only thing that I really care about is just being relevant and hopefully acting as a source of inspiration for my direct community.
And I think that's a great way to go about it personally. I feel like in a world that is so globalized, you made some great points there. In a world that like we're so interconnected, but like I think about even like my own band, like there's no way that even if somebody started listening to our album in Japan, like I don't think I'd be going on a plane to Japan anytime soon to go and tour because I don't know if that would make sense, right? So if somebody in Japan has the ability to listen to the record or not listen to the record, like does that make as much a difference to me as making sure that I have something that I can hand out at a songwriters night or at a concert or at a show locally, right? That I think kind of shrinking things down and getting back to the community of it all is actually going to be maybe the more successful way for all of us to go about it. And hopefully, maybe tides turn and we find some sustainability in it too. So, I like the approach. I think it's a fresh change, and I appreciate that take.
Right on. Thanks, brother. Yeah, I mean, I've started to look at it as just like these are good life moments, like making an album and like having band rehearsals. Genuinely thinking today about doing this podcast with you, like the song that you brought to the Songwriters Club last night was so well put together. It had like 4 or 5 distinct parts that all served the whole so well that to me those are the moments that I care the most about these days. It's just like sharing community with people and encouraging everybody else to just keep doing it, recognizing that what we're not saying in parentheses perhaps speaks louder than what we are saying. And that is
Mm,
to say, like it is against all odds. Like to sit down with your pals and write a song, it doesn't cost you anything. It's all the pieces after that. And if you ever get offered to go to Japan, I hope that you would completely take that offer to heart and go to Japan. And I do the same thing with like festivals or like road trips, or we put together little tours and stuff. It doesn't have to be so grand to for it to be meaningful and it to hold weight in our lives.
hmm.
So
That's
that's
really
where
interesting.
the community aspect is really, really important to me.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that too. I think there is like this grand idea or these like rock and roll dreams that we all want to fulfill and all want to live out, but sometimes getting to the people actually isn't as hard as maybe we make it. So that's a good perspective. One more I want to ask you about before we really dive into making a playlist here is we're both fans of the long-suffering Buffalo Sabres. I mean, I guess we're the long-suffering ones as Sabres fans here, but as a songwriter,
Yeah.
when eventually they do break the drought, and I'm not trying to jinx anything right now or whatever, but when they do eventually break the drought and get back to the playoffs, and heck, maybe even win a Stanley Cup,
Uh-huh.
do you think you could ever find the words to, I guess, document that moment in song form? Because I don't think I could. I think I'd be too overjoyed.
Yeah, no, that to me wouldn't show up as a song. I don't think it would show up as a series of just like really cathartic, celebratory sort of screams or yells. And it may be something that is paying homage and reminiscent to how RJ would kind of like animate the play-by-play all those years, like, but
Mm.
yeah, long suffering and promising right now. And I totally understand your hesitancy to jinx anything because I'm in the same boat. Like we'll check in early April and see where we're actually
Yeah.
at. But holy hell, like both Buffalo of the major sports teams in Buffalo, like when the Bills, as a Bills fan, like 18, 19 years of a drought, and now the hockey team is just like kind of one of those hold my beer, I'll give you a run for your money kind of scenarios.
Yeah,
I don't get
right.
it. There's some sort of curse.
Yeah, there absolutely has to be something going on, some kind of toxicity coming out of Lake Erie that is affecting the sports teams. But hopefully we get a little break from that. We can celebrate our hockey team and the way the Bills fans have been celebrating. All right,
And
so
listen,
it's time to make a playlist. Oh,
before we go into the playlist, I told them this last week to beautiful orange face, the best mascot in all of pro sports, Sabretooth. That's the best
Absolutely.
mascot.
I was there on that reunion night, and he did the old tradition of coming down from the rafters, just like back in 2005, 2006. It was
Wow.
so elite. My wife was there with me, and she wasn't like a fan at that time. Like I've kind of dragged her into this mess in the last few years. And I was like, "Oh, look, he's coming out." He's like, "What? What is he doing up there?" I'm like, "He's gonna come down on the ice." He's like, "What happens if he gets stuck?" I'm like, "Oh, that's San Jose's problem. That happened to them. That doesn't
Right.
happen to our guy."
Tooth. Yeah, we're big Sabretooth fans over here.
I like it. I like it. All right. So we're getting into making a playlist. It's going to be a 12-song playlist of just whatever songs come to your mind inspired by what I'm going to pull out of the trusty David Bowie hat.
Okay.
Now, Brandon, when was the last time you either made yourself, made someone else, a playlist, a mixtape, mix CD? What was the last playlist making experience that you might have?
It's been a while. It's been a while. Yeah. I don't have a good
Yeah.
answer. I know that answers like that when you're giving an interview are like really lame, bad answers to give. I'm fully going to commit to it being a lame, bad answer because it's the honest one. It's been a while.
Hey, well, you mentioned it being a cusper. I mean, you probably have some experience in the analog world of maybe dealing with a mixtape that's actually recorded off the radio or something like that. So,
That that's exactly how we grew up. You know,
yeah,
roller skates in the basement and the little you know, the little stereo that you could record and then waiting for the song to come on and hitting record and then, and building it as you go over the course of many weeks sometimes. Yeah,
yeah,
this is all a very, very, very pre-Napster and pre-every song sharing thing ever existed for sure.
nice. All right, we're starting off the playlist with a song from the best concert you ever saw.
A song from the best concert I ever saw. Okay. I went to a show, um, a song. Can I just give the artist?
I
You
need
want
the so
songs?
I need
We're doing
any
playlists.
song from that night will work
Okay.
if you can remember.
I'll do this. I'll do this this way. Trainload of Sky, Gillian Welsh and David Rawlings.
Okay.
Uh, November of 2024, Jess and I drove down to Akron, Ohio to catch them at the Goodyear Theater. And they came out and just completely like mesmerized the crowd for an hour and 45 minutes. Nothing's plugged in. They're just playing in front of microphones. They still tune to like a tuning fork kind of situation.
Wow.
Um, and so yeah, they were touring their latest album, and that was the single from that album, and that was a really good moment to be at.
I like it. All right. Moving on to song 2. This one's a good one because we just talked about the Sabres and Bills. Sports intro song, or maybe a goal song if you want to go the hockey route. But what would be the song that you would pick as like your walkout song, or if you're a wrestler or walking up to the plate to hit a home run?
So like an amped up kind of get some energy behind it. Um,
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever's gonna make you feel like you can perform at your very best by doing this.
I would pick a song akin to Rent I Pay by Spoon.
Okay, I like that pick. A band that I have not spent enough time with either. I definitely am glad you put this on the list because that could be my gateway into Spoon.
Great band.
Let's go track 3. Let's go with a song. A song by a band you never got to see live.
A song by a band I never got to see live. I never got to see Tom Petty live.
Oh,
You could take your pick. Do I have um I don't know. Off the top of my head here, I would pick something like even like not it's not necessarily like, oh my God, this is my favorite Tom Petty song, but like Cabin Down Below or something like that. But just
okay.
I never got to see Tom Petty live, and that kind of sticks out.
Would you have rather seen like Tom Petty Heartbreakers era or Tom Petty like kind of Wildflowers era? Like which is there one area of his catalog and music that speaks more so to you than others?
I really like Wildflowers to me is just a beautiful, beautiful concept. Like where he was at in his life and in his artistic life, all that stuff, the band kind of stuff, how he chose to like pursue that from the story that I know about it, and then the songs themselves, which to me is it's still a Heartbreakers album because like everybody plays on it except they're swapping drummers. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I would take either or because like if I could go back and be 18 years old or 21 years old and be like 50,000 people somewhere and they're just doing their thing, amazing, and also amazing to catch anything like from the Wildflowers era for sure.
Cool. All right. Track 4, we're gonna need a song. Let's see here. This one is a big one here. A song featuring your favorite drummer or drum performance.
Um, okay, I won't have a song name for this, but this came up over the course of the weekend because I played a show in Toronto and I played with a piano player and I was totally getting these vibes and it reminded me that this is probably in my top 3 albums of all time. But I would anytime I want to be inspired by like the rhythms of the world, I put on Buena Vista Social Club and that puts me in a really, really, really good frame of mind.
Okay. All right. I like another artist, another project that I'm not super familiar
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
So I like.
Look it up. Ry Cooder goes down and assembles a bunch of like top-notch Cuban musicians
Hmm.
and makes that album happen. And then there's some touring that takes place and stuff like that. But like, yeah, yeah, very culturally rich and very, very just like it just puts you in its own sort of mood and space when you're in it. Um,
Yeah.
and it's fun to picture all the musicians doing their thing as you're listening.
Yeah, right. And that's when I feel like I'm really getting sucked into an album or a listening experience is when I can picture that it's not just a straight 1, 2, 3, 4 on the drums. Like, no offense to AC/DC, but like they don't necessarily make your imagination pop off when you hear them.
Yeah, no, there's a time and a place, but yeah, dive into Buena Vista Social Club if you're into it.
Okay, cool. I will check that one out. All right. Next song we need for the playlist is gonna be a song from the 2020s, so something from the last 6 years or so.
A song from the 2020s in the last 6 years or so. An artist that I got to share a show with in St. Catharines a couple years ago that I was completely struck by. That we've listened to her album like a significant amount of times in the kitchen is Mariel Buckley from
Okay.
Alberta. And I would say starting with the song Neon Blue, it would be a really great place to give some Canadian content a listen.
Nice. Okay. Where was that show at?
We played at Warehouse.
Nice. All right. So that was Neon Blue. We'll throw that in the playlist there. And I think, um, I think we're pretty spoiled in Niagara, and I'm sure you can speak to this too. That we are. Does it feel like we almost have too many spots to play these days? It's really a treat to have so many different locations, but I guess does it feel like maybe there's another side of the Niagara scene, or I guess another size of venue that Niagara scene could use on top of the Warehouse and some of the other bars and locations that we have? What's your experience been like trying to book shows and finding the right place to have music in Niagara these days?
If you take like a historical context, I think that the point that I might argue is that we've lost a lot. And it
Okay.
even sounds like back in the 2000s, like I was talking to somebody outside of St. Catharines about this, and they were like, "Oh, to know St. Catharines 20 years ago when there was like it was a hotbed of like original music and people were going out and shows were taking place like crazy." I
Hmm.
might argue that like yeah, more venues are always great because they're cultural spaces and they're spaces for us to hang out and celebrate life together. And in my ideal scenario, I would do a complete inversion of all of the places right now that host live music that are cultural gatekeepers. I'm just saying this way because I feel like you're inviting this and it sides with your values too. But your values aside, if we could invert the system for all of the current cover gigs to be open for opportunities for everybody that's
Mm,
making their own music, I think we would legit have like a scene in Niagara. And then all of the places right now that only original music could take place because it's kind of like pushed into these little boxes and corners, then go and play the songs that have been around for the last 70 years and like have a really good time doing that. But
Mm.
that would be my answer about the state of live music and venues in Niagara.
I appreciate that perspective, especially because I remember that kind of 20 years ago vaguely. I was like 10, 11, and by the time I was into high school and trying to go to shows locally, it was a little bit thinner. Like, I think Scene Fest ended when I was in grade 11, maybe was the last year, maybe grade 12. And then it just kind of died out from there, from what I understood of it and the opportunities that were being presented to me. And then I think the reason that I feel so invigorated is after spending a couple years in Toronto, then coming back to Niagara and not really doing anything music related. In the last couple years, diving back in, it's like, oh, there is like people who care. There is people trying to put on shows and people who are trying to host spaces. But that's an excellent point about the fact that there are so many locations that instead of doing 3 cover bands Thursday, Friday, Saturday, one of those nights could be dedicated to original music and trying to support that local scene a bit more. And it could go a long way.
It absolutely could go a long way. Because I think the spillover effect, like not to talk about dollars and cents, but when when we go back to the conversation that we had 5 or 10 minutes ago, right? You know, you're aiming for something at a career trajectory level, and it's not about how much you acquire; it's about how much opportunity there is for you along the way, right?
Mm,
And so it's about like, to get a gig that might pay X amount of dollars by doing your own thing, that's encouraging you, A, to keep going. That's encouraging your community to keep going. And you're
mhm.
100% going to spend all of that money back in the circular creative economy. It's going to go into recording time, producing time, mastering, and so I feel like we've kind of pigeonholed ourselves culturally where everything is about like profit. And so it's just like low hanging fruit. And it's just like, right, come in and play, Margaritaville by Jimmy Buffett, as long as you cover, that one Amy Winehouse song that everybody's covering now, or whatever
Yep.
else is floating around social media, then our patrons here will be happy. But like, I surround myself with musicians that remind me all the time, like a good song is a good song. And when a band has a vibe to it, then that's what people want to get excited about. And that's what they want to root for, And I feel like I would love to see more opportunities for us to have that, because to me, those are cultural components. And we start telling stories at a bigger community level. And that's what's connecting us at a bigger community level. And then I feel like Niagara would have a reputation as being a place where, you know, it's encouraged to be yourself. It's encouraged to tell your own stories. It's encouraged to go to shows and support your pals. And that's how any
Mhm.
major music city that I've ever visited um, has kind of established itself. And so there's still room for like covering other people's music, but I feel like it's just like an imbalance.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Before we get back to picking songs, there's something else I kind of want to pick your brain on that you're making me think of here is, does it feel like uh, being somebody who's involved in radio and now trying to pursue maybe more of like an influencer life, I guess, for lack of a better term. I feel like influencer is the new term for critic at this point, or tastemaker. Does it feel like maybe the thing that we've lost in the last few years is that audiences kind of, in a way, want to be told what is cool and what to listen to and what to discover? And if we're just playing cover sets and we're just, pretending to be whatever band or whatever musician for that night, does that almost take away our opportunity to push ourselves on the community in a way that maybe 10, 15 years ago wouldn't have happened? Like, to me, I just feel like nobody's really stepping up to be like, hey, you should be listening to this, and this is cool, and this is why. It's more so like everybody just is in their own little clique of discovering new stuff and listening to the classics.
Yeah, I feel like we're in a tough situation right now, right? Like the world's in a weird spot. I feel like when it comes time for entertaining ourselves or for gathering, that it makes sense that people would say, this is the bar that I go to. The bar hires the band. I like these bands. The band plays all the songs from my most nostalgic years, and I'm totally into that. It doesn't necessarily leave a lot of room per se for like people like in our situation. But then if you sit in that and wallow in that, and you just become cynical, then you stop making art for the whole reasons why you're making art. And to answer your question, like, I do think that there was something about a certain like commitment and resistance that 20 or 25 years ago, that people were unashamed to be themselves, and they were actually proud of it. And there was enough numbers where that was supported. And so shows just happened, and like shows just kept happening, and it just kind of snowballed. And you're right. I think over the last number 15 years or so, that we all kind of look to this like false North Star, which is social media, to say like what is cool. And it gets narrowed
Mm.
down to these, these few little clips, or these really unachievable, unbelievable kind of scenarios where like you have like a 1 in 8 billion talent, and all of a sudden, the expectation is that you need to replicate that at a local level in order to get anybody's attention. What I'm trying to do when I'm putting on shows and performing with my friends is just offer a reminder that like the simple act of showing up, especially in today's age, it is a form of resistance. Like getting
Mm.
yourself away from a screen, and that includes me, out of your house into a common space. Like we've let go of that. And the pandemic,
Mm.
definitely, there's a social atrophy post pandemic where we don't feel required to do that as much as maybe we did prior to that 5-year occurrence. So like the simple act of showing up and then just being present, and like and leaving from there. Did you like it? Did you not? But at least you gave it a chance, as opposed to just completely like regurgitating this thing it's really been consumed to death, and it doesn't really contain any sort of like cultural
Mm-hmm.
components. And I'd say like the tricky thing is for cover artists is like stepping into like a worldview and replicating like a set of songs that aren't truly representative of who we are as Southern Ontario community members, or as Canadians. Like these things do matter at like at a much bigger, more fundamental kind of level. So it's not just about like, I don't know. I have a hard time with just like, I used to do it myself, and then existentially I just couldn't do it anymore, because I'm like, I'm singing a Van Morrison song, but this isn't my story. Like,
Mm.
so somebody comes up and says, "Hey, good job." I'm thinking, good job at doing what? Like learning the song and playing it, it's not that hard to do.
Yeah.
The hard thing to do, especially in this day and age, I think, is to stop, turn the phone off, put the screen away, and do soul searching and produce something poetic that means something to you. And the second phase and the second step to that is having the vulnerability and the power to bring that to your friends and saying, I made this and I want to share this with you. Like
Mm.
when a child, like a 5-year-old, brings home like a painting that they did, they're just like, they're so proud of what they did. They spent time with themselves. I feel like this goes hand in hand with like the mental health crisis that we're going through and stuff. But I'm a
Mm.
big advocate for stopping, self-reflecting, self-expressing, and then using that as a means to like gather and inviting other people in to break down the mystique of what it means to be able to write your own songs. And I feel like that's why I'm so encouraged that people keep showing up to the Songwriters Club, for example, because it's infectious and people like really do benefit from it at a really core human level. That was
Yeah.
totally like a tangent, but like these are things that I just like, I struggle with endlessly, because I wish that we had something like it feels like Nashville has, or Austin has, or New Orleans
Mm.
has, or whatever. And we have such good bones here. We just need a couple like cultural gatekeepers to be like, come on in. I trust you to do your thing. And no other artistic medium would it be okay for the majority of the people to just go around replicating what other people have already made. Like painting, that would never happen. And in
Yes.
food, it's all about like originality, and in winemaking, it's about originality and all these kinds of things. And but music, it's still around here. It's still like we want you to be somebody else in order to celebrate you. And I just don't know. It's a head scratching moment for me, John.
Yeah, no, that's really, really well said, and I couldn't agree more with it. Even from, again, like reflecting in my own world and in the radio world, there's so much pushback from high level executives and from the industry to cut back on CanCon laws, for example, which we literally put in place to develop our culture more because It was too easy to just absorb what was coming up from below us now. So why would we claw back on that? Why are you not pushing to make people a little bit more uncomfortable, maybe, and introduce them into something new, push them into this whole world of music that's still coming up? Because if you love whatever certain style of music or certain style of band that much that you would go and want to hear that music covered, chances are there's somebody who's actually writing in that same vein, in that same style, with original thoughts and ideas that you'll like just as much. You're just not maybe being forced to be uncomfortable, or forcing yourself to test your comfortability by going to something that's a little bit more original. So yeah, I think you nailed it there.
Right on. Thanks, man. I really do hesitate to share words and sentiments like that publicly because I don't want to come across as like I feel very privileged. I feel very lucky. I know how hard I work for the opportunities that I end up getting. And I see how hard my friends work in the community, and I always commit, like, if there's something I can help you with musically, I'll be there. And like, in private, we have a lot of conversations about the nuance and the dynamics and the layers to it all. And a lot of us kind of just settle on this notion of like, let's just take the money out of it because this is like a life giving, life affirming pursuit to have. But
Hmm.
at the same token, when you're part of an industry that you feel like is out of balance, then every once in a while I feel it is appropriate to say, hey, you know, the opportunities that we have, like, I would love to see a cultural policy adopted by all 12 municipalities in Niagara, where in when they're procuring entertainment services or musical services, that it's a 90-10 rule. 90% of the procurement needs to go to people that have made their own art in Niagara, and the other 10% can go to the people that are going to cover the Rolling Stones and the Beatles and Jimmy Buffett and whoever else. But like,
Hmm.
it does matter, and it matters. I know that it matters because 20 years ago we had this space on Queen Street in Niagara Falls called 4555. We were given this keys to this building, and we ran a living arts center out of it. And we did an article in the review with John Law, and I remember talking even back then about, basically, the whole catalyst for it was people needed to leave Niagara to pursue anything creative, artistic, or cultural, because around here those don't seem to be the dominant sort of values. And lo and
Hmm.
behold, 20 years later, we're still having similar conversations. But I will say the thing that's promising is that there's connection points like this, and I see progress being made every once in a while. And you're right, it could just be that all of a sudden, and I've started to see this trend, it could be all of a sudden over the next 2 or 3 years, because I've seen all these like Nashville style pop up songwriter things that all the businesses around here go, we want to do that. Where are our local songwriters? And then you and I and Amanda and Carl David and everybody else will be saying, we've been here all along, and like, we
Yep.
really appreciate the opportunity, and throw us a couple dollars every now and again so we can keep strings on our guitar and gas in the tank, and maybe save up to be able to make a recording to share, to keep this whole like dream kind of going. That's my hope. So I'll end my rant there.
I like it though. That was a very productive rant, and one that I can fully support and appreciate. So,
Thanks,
all
bud.
right, moving back to the playlist, I'm gonna
Yep.
need a song from the first album, tape, CD, whatever it was that you ever had.
All right. The first CD that I ever bought was Offspring.
Okay.
You'll have to help me out to remind me what a cool song would be from that album.
Do you remember? Was it like the debut Offspring record?
Yeah, yeah, a little skeleton
Um,
thing on it or whatever.
yeah, Smash.
Yeah, yeah. Keep 'Em
Um,
Separated. Was
yep,
that on there?
yep.
There you
Self Esteem and Come Out and Play, Keep Them Separated were the two big ones off that one for sure.
go. To quote Andy Colonico, bangers.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's put Gotta Keep Them Separated on there.
All right.
Come Out and Play. That's a great track, and yeah, a great first CD to have on your own for sure.
Thank you.
All right. So next track I'm looking for will be, so I reach in the David Bowie hat here,
Yep.
a song with a female singer.
Oh, yeah, that's easy. I love female singers. I would give anything. So like, I saw Lucinda Williams twice last year, and
Mm-hmm.
her show over at Town Ballroom in Buffalo was again in my top three. So I
Yep.
give you anything and all things Lucinda Williams. I don't know if we can swear on this podcast, but I fucking love
Yep.
Lucinda
Go
Williams.
for it.
So just like, take your pick, but like Can't Let Go would be a good song to go with.
All right. Let's put Can't Let Go on there then.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be your track. That's track 7 on the playlist. So we're over halfway now,
Okay.
going through it. Um, and I got to say, a lot of new stuff to my ears, or stuff that'll be refreshing to hear for me. I think really The Offspring is the only thing. And I guess Tom Petty would be the only things that are like regulars on my go-tos in terms of listening. So
Okay.
I like it. I like being pushed that way. So we talked about drums a little bit earlier. Now we're going with a song featuring your favorite bass player or bass performance.
Bass player or bass performance? Uh,
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Bass player, my favorite bass player or bass performance. I don't know much about this artist, if I'm being completely honest, but I met her one time in New Orleans and I saw her perform, and her bass playing is I want to say that she's won a Grammy. I don't know that, but I want to say that. I would so her name is Esperanza Spalding, and she like
Okay.
plays bass at such a jazzy, syncopated, intricate level and sings at the same time. And so I'd say we can go with a song, I Know You Know, and that's the
Okay.
song name. Yeah, that's a good question. Hmm.
All
I
right.
feel like later on tonight I'll be like, oh, that bass player. I love bass. Yeah, okay. Esperanza
That's
Spalding. That's a good one.
That's usually how this playlist goes, is that like you'll come up with an answer to me to something I asked like 10 minutes later and be like, I should have said that instead of this one. But that's kind of the why I wanted it to be like completely off the top of the head. I don't want it to be premeditated. I want the first thing that pops in your mind generally is probably going to be your best answer.
Yeah, I'm into it. I like it. Good job.
All right. So next thing we're looking for. This one's always a funny one. I do believe Amanda got this one in her playlist as well.
Yeah.
It's a funny one to throw in there, especially after how serious some of our topics have been. But your favorite dirty or horny song?
Amanda got this one too.
I'm pretty sure she did. I think it was her that had it. I'm trying to remember from the first season who had it.
Like a really like sexy song or something like that.
Yeah, like a lot of people would put like Prince for this, or
Sure.
we got a lot of oh, what's that, like the I always forget the name of the band, but the "You and Me, Baby, Ain't Nothing But Mammals" song, that
Oh yeah,
song
yeah.
gets thrown in there for this tech category a lot.
Can I just do something that's like kind of hypnotizing and just puts you in like a I don't know what's about to happen, anything could happen kind of?
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. Can we do like Cold-Blooded James Brown?
Okay, there you go.
Just,
I
like I
would say
don't know. Are we, I don't know what's about to happen. Like I'm in a bit of a trance here and I'm not yeah.
I
Yep,
like
we'll
it.
do that.
No, that's a good pick because like, I would say like in terms of sexually charged music, like James Brown is kind of like where one of the spots that I would start at, or at least one of the founders of that, and laid the groundwork for a guy like Prince and everything else that we've had since.
Right. Perfect. Great.
All right, we're been all about the instruments tonight. I've drawn once again a song featuring your favorite guitar player or guitar moment.
Guitar moment.
Yeah.
Uh, my favorite. I love JJ Cale's guitar playing, and his albums are so unique and precious to me. But one of my
Mm-hmm.
favorite guitar moments is the solo in Impossible Germany by Wilco.
Okay.
Like every time I hear that solo, I cry. There's just something about when they start doubling up on the guitar. Da, 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 na, 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 and I just feel like it just reaches this like climactic point that I love that piece. Yeah, so I'll go with Impossible Germany. Shout out to Nels Klein for pulling that off. Amazing guitar player.
Nice. All right, we got just 2 songs left for the playlist here, Brandon.
Okay.
This has been a blast. I really appreciate you coming on. This is one of the playlists too that I look forward to listening back to after the fact because there's a lot of discovery moments for me, which is
Cool.
always nice. Oh, this is a great one to ask you. I'm glad that this one came up.
Okay.
And a song that makes you want to quit writing songs.
A song that makes me want to quit writing songs.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, give me a second here. A song that makes me want to quit writing songs. I'm going to go with there's a song, I think it's the last song on Time Out of Mind by Bob Dylan. Um and I'm drawing a blank. Highlands maybe. Uh I feel like it just goes on for like 12 minutes or something like that, and it's just this like narrative where he's just like stream of consciousness talking about the most mundane scenario that he's in, but he draws it out for like an obscene amount of time, and
Yep.
that's would be such a challenge to sit in and to convince yourself. Like we stop ourselves at like, oh, it was three. Even last night you were saying, oh, that one song was like came in around 4:20, but we have this like meter where it's just like, oof. Anything
Yeah.
beyond that, how do we expect anybody to ever listen to it? So I just feel like that's one of those songs where you're just like,
Yep.
holy jumping. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you on that one. And I did just double check. Highlands weighs in at 16 minutes, 31 seconds.
There you go. So, all right, there you go.
There's Bob Dylan in his prog rock era, right? And it's like, I'm like, that's the one thing I'm grateful for is that I was introduced to Rush at an early age and got behind Rush. So a long song has never been too challenging for me
That's
to
fair.
be
Yeah, that's
get
fair.
into. All right, Brandon, we're gonna end it off here. Final song on the playlist. You know what? This one kind of doubles up on your favorite guitar moment, so I'm gonna skip it. It was favorite guitar solo, so I'm like, oh well, you kind of literally just said that one's your go-to solo. So how about your favorite ballad?
Oh, I mean, there's so many nice like Sam Cooke songs or something like that. I mean, I think like my grandparents on my dad's side, their wedding song from what he told me was Blueberry Hill by Fats Domino, and I just feel like it's just like it's a perfect song.
Okay,
It's got a perfect bridge. Everything about it is just like so nice.
nice. All right. And that is it. You've made it through the gauntlet of 12 songs to make your playlist. We've got Trainload of Sky, Jillian Welsh right off the hop, Spoon, Rent I Pay, Cabin Down Below, Tom Petty. I'm going to put in a cut from Bonavista Social Club for your favorite drum performance coming up here. Neon Blue, Merrill Buckley. We've got Come Out and Play, The Offspring.
Okay.
We've got Can't Let Go, Lucinda Williams.
Yeah.
Esperanza Spalding, I
Yeah.
Know You Know,
Yeah.
Cold Blooded, James Brown, Impossible Germany, Wilco, Highlands, Bob Dylan, and Blueberry Hill, Fats Domino to round it out. What do you make of that playlist?
I'm into it. I would totally, print myself a copy and throw it in the car and head out on a road trip until the tunes ran out.
I like it. I mean, it's gonna last a little bit longer with that Highlands song on there. That'll get you a little
It's
further
like
down the highway.
it's like a
All
Zach
right,
Berry
Brandon.
contribution.
Yeah, exactly. Great shout out. Great pull. One last thing we like to do on this podcast here, and that is the Desert Island Records, the 5 albums that you feel like you need to take with you if you're getting stranded on the desert island. What are those for you?
Those 5 albums. I would bring Buena Vista Social Club with me.
Mhm.
That would keep me going. I would bring oh, this gets tricky. I would bring I think I feel like I would be happy with any Spoon album actually. They
Mhm.
situate me in a good place. I like Lockdown, the Dr. John album that he did with Black Keys guy. Was
Yep.
it Dan Oberbach or whatever his name is?
Yep.
That gives me 3. The Gillian Welsh David Rawlings catalog is really sincere to me, and that puts me in a good spot too. So I would be happy with any of their albums. And a fifth one could be oh, these are so weird. I would pick a JJ Cale album
Okay.
and just enjoy the low key vibes. I'm on a desert island. I might never get off. I might as well just be chill.
I like it. I like it. All right, we have reached the end of the gauntlet. Brandon, thanks again for coming on. Thanks for the conversation. One thing we haven't really touched on too much that I want to give you the opportunity to plug here, and that is the house shows. One already down on the year. Second one, I believe, is already sold out now. So that just leaves one more date, I think, to plug, correct?
Yeah, the second one is coming up on February 28th. It's 50% sold out, so there's still tickets. It's got Billy Rogers, TJ Rogers, and Alora Miller. And then we do a house show in March on March 28th. It's got For Ernest, so Mike and Tara, and our buddy Tony Hannock from the Songwriters Club is going to come and perform. So it's just something that we
Awesome.
do in the wintertime to bring people together to stay connected in the cold, dark months and to feature some local songwriters. All the money goes to them. If you wanted to learn more about it, you could just go to my website, brandonagnew.com, and send me an email.
Perfect. And you can also find his new album there with the Night Shadows on the website as well. Anything else that you want to plug? Anything else that you want to promote? Anywhere else anybody should try and keep up with you? Brandon, you are a big pillar of what we're trying to continue to build here in the Niagara region. So I'm glad to give you the time and glad to talk music with you.
Likewise. And go Sabres.
I like it. Go Sabres. There he is. Brandon Agnew on Let's Make a Playlist.
Thanks, brother.
Let's Make a Playlist is a podcast created, hosted, and produced by me, Jonathan Howe, for House Media. For additional content, links to the songs featured in this playlist, and more music writing, check out my Substack, House. There you can subscribe to get my blogs emailed to you for free, or if you wish to support my work, subscribe for $5 a month. If you enjoyed this week's episode, please rate, review, subscribe, or leave a comment with who you would like to see on Let's Make a Playlist in the future, and we'll be back with more playlists.